Oh my goodness. What? Guys, 5K, congratulations. Thank you so much. I wish you would like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Oh, wait, now it's not going to come true. But for real, thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. I understand that that's not like, quit your day job milestone or anything like that. But I do appreciate it. Like I've said many times before, it's cool that people like something that I do. Talk about books, make people laugh, keep you company while you're doing chores or doing your art homework or whatever. I passed my 1 year anniversary like maybe a month and a half ago or something like that. I'm gonna do another year, see how it goes, and yeah, thank you so much. Anyways, wouldn't it be so annoying if I just ate cake the entire video? Anyways, today we're talking about Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Or maybe it's Caraval. I don't know. Who cares? But before we get into all of that, I'm going to put it away. I got to give a quick shout out to my Plus Ultra Don't Fretters, my top tier supporters on Patreon, JJ Valdez and Laughing Cat Dog. Thank you so much for your support. You are helping to ensure I'm able to keep creating content and put it out as frequently as possible. If you also want to help support the channel and gain access to exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, make sure you consider subscribing to my Patreon at patreon.com/don'tfret_. Okay, so I first heard about Caraval on a podcast that I used to listen to all the time. They were talking about the series that comes after it, but they mentioned it, and then shortly after me and Reads with Rachel became like online friends or whatever, I watched Rachel's review of this book. I don't remember like anything about that video other than that she really didn't like this book. But that was like a year and a half ago, or maybe even longer. Like Rachel, I don't know if you watch my videos. I think we've been like mutuals for like almost 2 years. Anniversary's coming up. So if you've never heard of this book, you don't know anything about it, don't worry, I'm gonna read the premise for you. A legendary competition, a mesmerizing romance, an unbreakable bond between two sisters. Scarlet Dragna has never left the tiny island where her and her sister Tella live with their powerful and cruel father. Now, Scarlet's father has arranged a marriage for her, and Scarlet thinks her dreams of seeing Caraval, the faraway once-a-year performance where the audience participates in the show, are over. But this year, Scarlet's long-dreamt-of invitation finally arrives. With the help of a mysterious sailor, Tella whisks Scarlet away to the show. Only as soon as they arrive, Tella is kidnapped by Caraval's mastermind organizer, Legend. It turns out that this season's Caraval revolves around Tella, and whoever finds her first is the winner. Scarlet has been told that everything that happens during Caraval is only an elaborate performance. Nevertheless, she becomes enmeshed in a game of love, heartbreak, and magic. And whether Caraval is real or not, Scarlet must find Tella before the 5 nights of the game are over, or a dangerous domino effect of consequences will be set off, and her beloved sister will disappear forever. Welcome to Caraval. Beware of getting swept too far away. My initial expectations for this book were not super high because, again, I remembered seeing Rachel's video. And while we don't always agree on books, we generally sort of like lean in the same direction, if that makes sense. Like, if Rachel really hates a book, I'm probably not gonna like it. It's funny, I was just texting her. At the time of recording, Rachel put out a video that is about the same book that is about a book I reviewed like a few weeks ago. And hers is like way more in depth, and she catches so many things that I just like don't catch. And part of me worries that like maybe I'm more toxic than I think I am. But anyways, yeah. So like if Rachel really doesn't like a book, I don't usually expect to like it. I do try to go into whatever book with an open mind, an open heart, and just I'm ready to be pleasantly surprised. And even though I went into Caraval with like low to no expectations, I was somehow still disappointed. So let's get into what happens in this book, and then I'll do my analysis portion at the end. So chapter 1 is a series of letters from Scarlet asking Legend, which is a dumbass name, to bring the Caraval players to the Conquered Isles, which is also a dumbass name. Scarlet's final letter says that she's getting married, and then Legend writes back, Caraval is by invitation only, and he invites her. Yeah, like, I don't know. There's something about, like, child writing, because some of these letters are from when Scarlet is like a child, right? And there's something about in the last book that I reviewed, which was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, there's also a lot of like child diary entries or whatever. And there's something about adults writing kids, which I guess any story, like whether it's a movie or whatever, it's going to be adults writing kids. There's something about adults writing kids in books that just sounds, it just comes across weird to me. I don't know how to, it just seems like adults really don't respect kids and like think they're really stupid. And so they come across like really like with like wooden personalities or like no soul or emotions or something. And like I probably wouldn't be any better trying to write a kid, but I also like wouldn't do that. I think writing books for children where the characters are children is like an art in and of itself. You know, a couple of my patrons are like they've like studied middle grade literature in like college, university, or whatever. Like one of them's like they're like so smart. They scare me. I don't know why they talk to me, honestly. Anyways, chapter 2, Scarlet goes to tell her sister Donatella that they got invitations to Caraval. Caraval. I don't fucking know how to pronounce it, and I hate that this is a thing that I have to worry about. I'm just so ready for some fan to be like, it's pronounced caramel, idiot, or something. Anyway, so she walks in on Donatella with a mysterious sailor named Julian. Their dad shows up and demands to know which of the girls Julian was fooling around with or was tasting, which is a really, really, really upsetting thing for a father to say about his children. It's gross. I don't like it. Julian lies and says it was Scarlet, so then the dad beats the hell out of Donatella. Chapter 3, Julian changes his offer that he made and said that he will take away the girls for free at dawn. Donatella wants to leave forever, and Scarlet thinks that it's a bad idea and her arranged marriage to the Count will solve all their problems. He has sent her many very poorly written letters that convince Scarlet that he is kind-hearted and gentle. Tella f***s off. Scarlet sends a secret message through the confessional on her father's estate. Chapter 4, Scarlet remembers a time when her dad drowned her like friend Felipe because boys and girls can't be friends for some reason. Scarlet meets with Julian and tries to bribe him into like not letting Donatella onto his boat, but then Donatella and Julian I think drug and kidnap Scarlet. And then I have a note here that says the air was thick and I used 3 C's and no K as soup. Yeah, I'll probably get more into that later, but there is a lot of like attempts at being poetic. There's a lot of like metaphor and simile that like I get what you're saying, but I hate that you said it. Chapter 5, Scarlet has some memories of stories about legend from her nana. Chapter 6 to 8, Scarlet wakes up on a raft with Julian. Allegedly, he dropped Donatella off before and then had to go back and get her. There's a hole in the lifeboat that they're using and they have to swim. Scarlet almost drowns because of her big, heavy dress, so Julian cuts it off with a knife, Pirates of the Caribbean style. They find a clock shop, and the guy in it, who isn't the owner, he's just some guy, is like, I will give you a portal to Caraval for a price. And Julian's like, nah, fuck that. And he dips. And Scarlet debates using it, but the price is her voice for 60 minutes, and she's like, nah. But she sees through the portal that Donatella is at Caraval, and she sees a burning sky made of lemons. Chapter 9 to 13, Julian and Scarlet meet back up, and they pose as a couple. Then Julian reveals he's played Caraval before and offers to team up. It tasted like light bubbly on her tongue and sugary going down. That line stood out to me. Light doesn't taste like anything. It's light. Doesn't have a taste. I assume Stephanie Garber is saying that light tastes like champagne. But yeah, I'm feeling it. They're set up with a room and get a note with Donatella's name on it. Scarlet goes, I guess it has its room number on it as well. So Scarlet goes down to the room and thinks that Donatella is with a man. The next night she goes back and the room has been ransacked. It turns out that Donatella is one of the game. What? She's part of the game. She is like the end goal of the game. If you find her, you find Legend and you get a wish. Chapters 14 to 16. Scarlet goes looking for clues. She talks to a tatted up fortune teller and a lady who sells magic perfume. Julian goes missing for a while. Julian reappears in the middle of the night with a fake injury or something and then gives her a weird clue, and Scarlet realizes he's sus, which is weird because he's been sus the entire time. Chapters 17 to 19, Scarlet goes to meet Julian at the tavern. He doesn't show up, so she chases Dante and then meets a girl who offers her a look at the history of Caraval in exchange for her buying 2 dresses. One dress costs her greatest fear and the other costs her greatest desire. Scarlet says it's to find her sister, but the magic says that that is a lie. So Scarlet has to die for 2 days instead. In chapters 20 to 21, Scarlet dies for 2 days. Death was the color purple. Thanks, I hate that. She sees her sister in a vision, opens up a book as large as a tombstone and the color of dark fairy tales. What does that mean? Like, you could have a book of dark fairy tales, but that could be literally any color. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking dark green, like that really dark teal, but who's to say? Then the dream shifts and she learns or dreams that a woman who died at Caraval before was named Rosa, and she was the fiance to Dante. Oh, and apparently because she saw Julian in a top hat, he's Legend. Chapter 22 to 27, the world tasted like lies and ashes when she woke up. She freaks out about Julian being Legend and making girls fall in love with him, one to the point of killing herself. She's like, I would never buy it, but my sister is impulsive. Her dad shows up or something. She follows Julian into secret tunnels and finds Julian standing over Dante's body. Scarlet immediately thinks that Julian is definitely Legend now, and he tells her he's actually Rosa's brother here for revenge. Scarlet gets a delivery and thinks she's found the 5th clue for Caraval, so she goes to a hat shop and her fiance, the Count, is there. So in chapters 28 to 29, the dad shows up too, and they run. They hide in a cave and make out. Scarlet sees colors as soft as velvet and as sharp as sparks that turn into stars. Ooh, that one hurts. That one hurts. Sparks aren't sharp and they cannot turn into stars. And some people like really like this kind of writing or whatever, and that's fine. Another one of my patrons, like, I think finds it obnoxious that I take these things really literal. And I'll get into why I do a little bit in a bit, but yeah, that one was just, oh, that had some sugar on it, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, they get caught again, and the dad forces or tries to force Scarlet to sleep with the Count and talks about how he paid a lot of money for her. Chapters 30 to 32, Scarlet threatens the Count with a fire poker and runs away with Julian. They get separated after Scarlet leaps off of a balcony. In chapter 33, Scarlet meets Legend, and his laugh has a rich and spicy sound. Legend reveals that he was working with Julian the whole time, then he stabs him, and he dies. Chapters 34 to 38, Scarlet follows the tunnels to a room where her sister is. She's like, yo, I'm fine, I met someone. That someone is Legend, who convinces Donatella that Scarlet is crazy. Tella ties up Scarlet, and then the dad and the Count arrive. Legend reveals himself as Legend, and Donatella kills herself. Then Scarlet tells her dad that he ain't shit, he ain't never gonna be shit. And then chapters 39 to the end, it turns out that Donatella had been corresponding with Legend and planned the whole thing. She knew she'd have to die for reasons, and she knew Scarlet would wish for her back. They don't explain the magic at all. Julian is really Legend's brother. They make out, the end. And in the epilogue, Donatella gets a letter from Legend. Thank goodness. That's like half the length of most of these books. That is insane. Okay, moving on to the analysis portion of this video. Starting with the characters, Scarlet is our main character, and she is I don't even know how to say this, right? She's got so few character traits. It's like she's not even a character. You know what I'm saying? The only things I really know about this character is that she's like kind of a prude and she kind of hates her sister. You know what I'm saying? Like she like talks, oh, I love my sister more than anything, but every time she thinks about her sister, she's like that vapid hoe, that impulsive hussy for like no fucking reason. Scarlett's also like one of the worst detectives in the history of the mystery genre. Like, I've seen more well thought out and intricate mysteries in Scooby Doo. And that is not meant to be Scooby Doo slander. I love Scooby Doo. What I'm saying is that there are so many instances in this book where Scarlett finds something that might be a clue and leaps to a wild conclusion about it and then just goes and does a thing. Oh, a hat. It could only be this. And like more often than not, she's correct. But that's because that's what the author needs to happen in order for the plot to move forward. You know what I'm saying? Like the author really needs you to believe that she's good at solving things, but doesn't write any actual like detective or investigative skills. Like this author really needs you to believe that Scarlett's really smart, but she like can't be, right? Because she got manipulated. She got played like a sucker by her sister who she thinks is stupid. So you can't be that smart if that's the case. You know what I'm saying? You get tricked by a stupid person. You can't be that smart. I've said this before, but like if you want your character to be smart, you want a smart character, your writing has to be smart. And this writing just isn't. Like, never mind the overly flowery descriptions and the shit that makes no sense. Like, the plot's all over the place. And it's like so confusing. Like, okay, I've probably talked about this movie on the channel before, but the movie Hobbs and Shaw with like Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham is literally all over the place. Like they go from like London to Russia to Samoa. That movie is like 6 different movies rolled into one. But it's like really easy to follow and it's easy to remember like how you got to all these different places. And this book does not do that. Like this book cannot achieve the same like storytelling quality as a Fast and Furious movie starring one of the corniest men in all of Hollywood. Sorry, I flew off the handle. That's more of a plotting thing. But yeah, Donatella sucks too. She's a terrible sister. You know, manipulating your sister, kidnapping her, drugging her, killing yourself. I mean, like, it'll be fine though. Also, trusting in magic that you don't know how it works or that it works at all is crazy. The motivations behind all of this and the planning around all of this is just absurd. Like, again, none of this is like thought out at all. The dad, who I guess is like the villain in the book, is just a villain because they need a villain. Like, he's just evil and cruel and abusive for like no reason or like for very shallow reasons. And I understand, like, yeah, the text condemns the abuse he inflicts on his children, but also doesn't explore that at all or really tackle it in a meaningful, like, it's cartoonishly violent. It's absurdly cruel, and it like doesn't say anything. It's just kind of like, hey, that sucks, don't it? And that's kind of it. Like, there's no purpose to it. So that's like very distasteful to me. I like really hate that shit. Julian, I think, is supposed to be like, he doesn't have magic powers, but he's this book's edgy shadow boo. He's the bad boy. I don't know if I can really say anything about his character because I think most of his character got retconned like 2/3 of the way through the book. So like, who the fuck cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, why talk about him? Why talk about any of these characters? None of them are really characters. They don't really do anything. They're so shallow. If they were a puddle, you could step in them and your foot would still be dry. You know what I'm saying? I've definitely said that before. Moving on to plot, it's a mess. There's supposed to be like a mystery to solve here, a race against time, that kind of a thing, and it just isn't well executed. I don't have a ton of experience with the mystery genre, but there isn't really any foreshadowing or seeds planted. There aren't really any possibilities to consider, and even if you did consider them, they get retconned out. So like, why even? Like, it's my understanding that a good mystery will keep you gripped, keep you intrigued and keep you guessing. Caraval keeps you guessing, but more in like a what the fuck is happening kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Moving on, world building. The Dragna sisters are from the Conquered Isles. I think that's a silly name, but whatever. It kind of sounds like a name, but it's a silly name. And I don't know, there's no exploration of the politics of the Conquered Isles. There's like no sort of explanation of the history. It's my understanding, like, it's probably based off of Spain or somewhere Spain colonized, but I have no idea. There's a fantasy element, you know, there's magic in this book. It is not explored or explained. Like there's a chance, even like a soft magic system, I feel needs some explanation. Or like, you know, Hayao Miyazaki's films does a lot of like casual hand wave. Yeah, it's fucking magic, who cares? But it's so subtle that you don't really raise questions, whereas this is not subtle at all. So I'm just left with a bunch of questions, and I don't know, magic just doesn't cut it for me. Not in this case. That scene where Donatella could explain how everything worked, as she explains her master plan of manipulating her sister, drugging her, kidnapping her, and making her watch as her own sister kills herself just so she can summon up the courage to go tell her dad to go fuck himself. Crazy, crazy plan, by the way. I already said that, but I hate it so much. And like, they just don't. He's like, yeah, I don't know how the magic works. I just knew it would. And I'm like, okay, well, how'd you know that? And what do you mean you don't know how it works? It feels like such a middle finger from the author to me specifically. And the writing is the pinnacle of pretty purple prose. This is so flowery and so sugary, it gives me a headache and I got a cavity. Now, honestly, like some of the lines make sense. Most of the time it doesn't. What I'm about to say next is going to sound like really woo-woo or spiritual or something like that, but words are like signposts that point towards meaning. Like if I say the word love, you kind of get what I'm talking about in some way, shape, or form. Whereas I feel like Stephanie Garber's writing just kind of waves its hand in a vague direction. Like instead of going specifically that way, it'll go, I don't know, that way. It's like it gives the idea of meaning something, but it doesn't really. Some of these lines, even if you were to take them out of a narrative and just make them a poem, I'd probably have like a different opinion on the writing, because poetry is like playing with language or whatever. But it's my personal preference that like when you're dealing with a narrative, you're dealing with prose, clarity is important. Creating like painting a picture with words is important for like narrative, telling a story like that. And Stephanie Garber's writing style is more like abstract art as opposed to something more realistic. You know, like even if we're talking about like visual art, just to take that metaphor way too far, I'm not crazy about like photorealistic sketches or paints or whatever. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I do like a little bit of artistic flair and creative interpretation, but I also don't want like upside down Picasso or like whoever that fucking guy is who just painted a bunch of lines on shit. Like that's just too absurd and too weird. And like Stephanie Garber does this thing every once in a while where she'll like come up with a line and I'm like, all right, that's pretty good, but then immediately follow it up and basically like drown it out with another line that is so abstract and nonsensical, it's upsetting. Kind of like how Anthony Hopkins, like, he tweaks every script he's in so all of his characters seem the same because he's not a good actor. And he'll like say the line and then say it again with like synonyms. Like, do you realize what you've begun, what you've started, or something? Fucking douchebag. Just because he thinks it sounds more theatrical because he's a pretentious old man. Ultimately, with shallow and unlikable characters, messy plot lines that go around in circles and then get erased, world building that just wasn't, you know, this world is half built at best, way too many descriptions of dresses, and prose that is so abstract it's like Stephanie Garber's trying to paint a picture, but all we're left is a swirl of vibrant colors and a mess on the floor. This book is like a 1.6 to 1.8 out of 5 for me. It's like trying to do The Night Circus but make it a thriller, but there is nothing thrilling about this book, and there's only one Aaron Morgenstern. I don't know. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you to my super duper don't fretters Lauren, Desi, Cassie, Oliver, and Shade. You are helping to ensure I'm able to keep creating this content and put it out as frequently as possible. If you also want to help support the channel and gain access to exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, make sure you consider subscribing to my Patreon at patreon.com/don'tfret_. There you'll get 45 extra minutes of content from me every month, as well as access to my private Discord server where you can chat with me and a bunch of really lovely people. We do a monthly book club and go live on Zoom and talk about the book that we read. It's a lot of fun. We might just hang out, do another live stream because fuck it. It's a good time. So if any of that sounds interesting or exciting to you, make sure you consider subscribing to my Patreon. Once again, thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is D. Don't fret. I'll see you next time. Peace out.